What's up, guys? Welcome back to Sunday Sports Club Podcast, a podcast all about sports told by a woman, and that woman is me. Hi, guys. I'm Allison Cooch. And speaking of iconic women in the sports arena, yes, I'm going to put myself into that category. Today, we have on a special guest, Laura Rutledge. If you guys aren't familiar with Laura, she is host of NFL Live and SEC Nation on ESPN. She is also a sideline reporter for Monday Night Football and also a mother of two. You guys, she is taking this interview straight from the ESPN offices. She wears so many hats, and today we're going to talk about how she balances motherhood and working and also the NFL draft coming up. And you know how I'm balancing my workday today? I have an accelerator. So, accelerator has been my favorite energy drink lately. It is always my go to. I'm currently drinking the cotton candy flavor, and it's sweet, but not too sweet, which is my cup of tea. So good. So, this is going to be keeping me energized all interview and all day long. No crashes and really clean energy. Laura, tell us a little bit about yourself and give people a gist of you in the sports community.
Well, it's so cool to be doing this with you. I think your community and what you do is absolutely amazing. So I'm so excited to just talk, right? But yeah, so I
Wait,
work at
I actually have
ESPN.
to interrupt you
Oh,
because you sound like you belong on ESPN. Like you have the voice.
that's funny because I always feel like people think that I'm doing a voice when I'm on TV. And I'm like, no, this is just actually my voice. But when I first
Insane.
got
Sorry. I just had to say
No,
that, but
thank
continue
you.
on.
Well, you have a great voice too. Um,
Thanks.
I'm here at ESPN right now because the show that I host every day here, NFL Live, is happening in a little bit. So that's why we don't have like that cute of a background. Although there are some cute backgrounds here. The one I thought I was going to go in, somebody was in the room. So I was like, oh, no, I'm going to have to go somewhere else. But anyway, I host NFL Live. I do Monday Night Football sideline. I do all kinds of different things in college football. SEC Nation is our weekly show leading into the action on Saturdays. So I host that show. And then I am about to go to the Masters, which is one of my favorite events of the entire year. It's the best. I host a show called Welcome to the Masters there. And then we're gearing up for the NFL draft. So yeah, just a lot of different things here. And I can't believe that I get to do this. It's beyond a dream job. It's a job I couldn't have even dreamed up for myself.
It's crazy because that's a lot. Like, I thought I had a lot on my plate, but
You
you
do.
are busy. So, like, you're doing a ton of different sports in a ton of different areas. And I also have to say, I'm going to the Masters as well. And I'm so excited. I'm taking my dad, and he has been like a lifelong fan of golf. And I surprised him, and it's going to be so exciting. But
Oh, I just
I
got
mean,
chills.
Monday Night Football, like you won. I would love to see how many miles you have built up.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
It should
And
be more than it is, honestly. I'm like, how do I not have more? I don't know, but yeah.
I also would love to see your calendar because color coding, like it takes on a new level when you're on TV, you're traveling, you're also a mom and you have a family, and it's crazy because I look up to women like you who can
Mm.
genuinely do it all and look good doing it.
Oh goodness, you're too kind. And you know from like everything that you have going on, and you constantly feel like you're not fully present in all the different things. And I think just as moms, as women in general, we're always thinking like, okay, so did I order that extra package of diapers that I needed to get? And then I'm like, oh shoot, so what's the draft order again? Like, well, like
You're like
it's just
living two different
constant.
lives.
It is. And what I found is that we are capable of so much more than we think we are. And I wish that I wouldn't have wasted so much time feeling like I couldn't do things. I mean, even when my daughter was born, she's 5 now. I told myself that entire pregnancy that my career was over. There was no way that I could possibly continue doing the level that I was doing at ESPN, even at that time, and also be a mom. I couldn't fathom how it would happen. And I beat myself up over it so much. And then now I'm thinking, oh man, when she was born was actually a real turning point in my career here. And I started to do more. So there's just, I think, this constant battle of like juggling it all, and you don't know what's going on and you feel like a mess all the time. And half the time, if I ever even just sit down in the car, I'm just like driving in silence when there's no
No,
kids there. Like when I'm driving to work, I'm just like, okay. And then I'm
same.
like, all
I'm
right.
like I'm like, "Wait, there is beauty in the silence."
Oh,
And I
yeah.
recently listened to Ellen Pompeo on Call Her Daddy's podcast, and she
Yes.
mentioned that, like, you can't give 100% to your job because you are a mother and you are doing so many different things. But it's crazy because I thought the same thing, that when I got pregnant, I was like, "Oh, nobody like, I'm done. Like, I should just
Mm,
kiss everything that I've been working towards goodbye." And
yeah.
it's so much the opposite. I feel like now I even have a different vision of what I want my life to look like.
Mm,
And it's easier to pick, okay, this brings me happiness. This is what I'm passionate about, and then leave all the other stuff behind. Whereas before I became a mom, I was like, yes, yes, yes. And now it's just such a different lens, and I'm so appreciative of it. And speaking of being a mom and working, what is a typical this is I'm like, I already know this is going th I know where this is gonna go. What does a typical day in the life look like for you?
oh my goodness. I mean, it does depend on the day, but I'll use today as an example because this is a relatively normal time of the year. Football season is just nuts and it's crazy. But today, so the great thing about when I'm home and not traveling is I can get up with both kids for, when they wake up in the morning and their breakfast time. So I'm like doing all that, which is juggling a million things. It's like inevitably somebody's like peed on something, and then we're trying to like get that thrown in the laundry and then clean something up while somebody else is yelling, and I'm like running around. And I try whenever I'm home to let my husband like sleep in as much as he can because he has to shoulder so much of this when I'm not there, and I always feel guilty about that. So I'm like, is he gonna wake up? And then I'm like, okay, no, he's not. So I'm gonna just keep doing this, and then we like roll downstairs and do breakfast, get Reese to school, and then Jack is my almost 2-year old. So I'm running around with him, and he's just a maniac. Like I don't know, but little boys, I'm obsessed with him. He is everything to me. But it's like the second that he's opened one cabinet and like thrown something out, I'm trying to clean it up, and then he's already spilled like 3 or 4 more things, and he's like thrown his full croissant in the trash. I'm trying to figure out, can I pull it out? Like, what has it touched?
Is he still gonna eat it?
It's
Right.
crazy. So then all that's going on, and then I'll be on our NFL Live production call, and I'm always thinking like, please God, do not let me unmute because I don't know what you would hear. It would be so embarrassing. Like they know me, and they'd be like, oh, okay, it's just her being crazy, but it would
Right.
be embarrassing. So I do that and like a lot of prep for the show. Try to like get a workout in when I can. Try to get dinner prepped a lot of times around that middle of the morning time. If I can do something that's crock pot related, or like get the vegetables already chopped. I really enjoy cooking, so it's like something I look forward to, but it's crazy when you try to just like do it when you get home. And then
Mhm.
I did an interview earlier with a college student for her project. So she had asked me to do this, which it was really,
Adorable.
really sweet. I know she did a great job. I was really proud of her. And then like come to work, I've been kind of writing the show all day. So I'll get in the rundown a little bit, write some things, and then step away from it. I'll go back, like I'm talking to you, I'll go back and then work on it a little bit, then do the show from 4 to 5, and then get home as quickly as I can to hang with the kids and do bedtimes and all that. So I think it's just it's crazy. I know you can relate to this. There's no like open space. And I'm
Mhm.
trying to work on maybe a couple more of those. This is a fun fact that I shouldn't reveal, but I will to you. So here
Ooh,
at ESPN,
tea.
I
I
know,
love a tea.
this is like, like
This
not
is a
that
secret. Everybody
hot of
listening.
tea. Yeah, no one's gonna, you guys don't tell me. So when when I was first, after Jack was born, I was exclusively pumping. So I needed the breastfeeding room here.
Round of applause. I exclusively
Oh
pumped.
goodness, it's awful.
So When I tell
Round of
people that
applause for you.
the internet's like, "Do you want a cookie?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do deserve a cookie. I
I
deserve a
deserve
fucking
like
trophy."
5, right?
Exactly.
Because that was a lot. But so, I needed the mother's room. So you can only get access like with a key card, whatever. So there are many days where I'm not anymore. Like he's almost 2, but I'll be like, shoot, let me see if my badge still works for that mother's room. There's nobody else using it. I make sure that I'm not taking the time away from anybody else. They could always knock and come, but I'll just go in there and like lay down and take like a 10-minute nap.
Can we normalize mothers' rooms in addition
Yes,
to nursing and pumping, but also
please.
just to, like, "Can I take a deep breath?"
Like, I just need to go in there for a minute, and then I come back out, and I'm gonna be better than I was when I went in, but
It's like,
so,
"This is the
yeah.
only silence I get all day."
It's so true.
Not even
Anyway.
at home in the bathroom, like, that's not even
No,
silence.
because somebody's always in there with me, like, the amount of time I'm like,
They're
"Okay."
like, "Mom, mom, mom." I'm like, "Oh,
The
okay."
other day, Jack, my almost 2-year-old, was trying to wipe my butt. Like, well, obviously I was pooping and I had no choice. He was in there and he's like, I'm like, no, baby, like, thank you, but
Like,
please
this is not a
don't.
learning moment.
We don't need you to do that.
You're like, "I understand Montessori teaching, but, like, we're not going that place."
No, and I wipe your butt, but you don't wipe mine. So sorry.
You're like, "Oh my gosh," like, so many different lives, and I'm sure your day is just, like, hectic all the time, and there's so many twists and turns. What did your journey to becoming a female reporter look like?
Yeah, so it was kind of weird because I never grew up wanting to do this. I was a serious ballet dancer. I wanted to do that. I thought I was going to be a professional ballerina. And then toward the end of my senior year of high school, I started realizing, like, oh man, I don't know if, the level that I was good, but I wasn't like good enough. So I wasn't going to really make a living. I was going to have multiple jobs. And I had applied to Florida and Florida State because we lived in state in Florida. And so I kind of could flip a coin between the two of them. I ended up choosing Florida. I really had no reason why, except I just had a gut feeling going there. And that ended up
Go with your
really
gut.
being, I know. And that was the reason why, like, I have this career because I was trying to like find a job to make extra money to actually pay for ballet classes that I was still taking because I couldn't give it up. I was like, I can't just stop doing this. And the only opening they had was in sports. So I didn't even think. And I just said, sure, I like sports, I'll take it. And then I thought, oh my goodness, I don't know anything. Like, what am I going to do? This is
Like,
a big mistake. But
yikes.
I was obsessed with the fact that I didn't know it and I needed to get good at it. And it was a way to sort of like pour all of that desire to be perfect, which was like very much part of the ballet thing, and to pour that energy into something else. And so I think that's what hooked me initially is that I was really bad,
Mhm.
which I want more young people to understand that. Like, none of us that are on national TV started out good. We just didn't. Like, it takes so much time, and I have had so many embarrassing faux pas, like terrible mistakes
The
on
humble
TV.
journey.
Yes, and so that was it. So basically, I only wanted to do radio. I loved that most, but then got some more opportunities in TV and started to do it. And anybody who knew me when I was like, in elementary, middle, high school, they're like, "Wait, you do what?" Like nobody ever would have seen that coming. So,
It's so interesting to me that you didn't know anything about sports, and now you are quite literally on the sidelines, and it's so interesting hearing the journeys to get into this world, and I
yeah,
feel like no journey is the same. I feel like luck is always a little bit involved, which is kind of
100%.
crazy, and it's just such an interesting thing to hear from so many different people. So when it comes to sports, obviously, once you get to sports, you kind of just fall in love. Like, there are so many
Yeah.
interesting parts of it. What is your favorite part? And do you have a favorite sport?
Yeah, I was hooked the second that I started realizing, oh wait, this is human connection and telling stories. And I
Mhm.
always have loved telling stories. And so that's what really I think drew me in. And that's true even on the sidelines. It's certainly true for like a feature story or a show or, something that you're hosting, but even in sideline reporting, we're constantly telling the stories. We're telling the stories of the game and interviewing and pulling
Yes.
those things out, right? So I think that's why I will always love this and I'll keep coming back to it as long as it'll come back to me. And
Yep.
then my favorite sport is football. I mean, I love baseball. My husband was a baseball player. I feel like it's a sport that probably doesn't get enough credit for some of the ins and outs that are just fantastic, and the
Mhm.
details and the cat and mouse game that can be played. And then I also love golf. So those are, but I honestly, I haven't met a sport that I didn't like. So, I mean,
Yes.
gymnastics, basketball, like all of it. I feel very fortunate to have been able to cover a lot of those at ESPN.
Yeah, and, one more thing about, like, your becoming into the position you're currently in. Do you, like, specifically remember having to do anything different that maybe your male colleagues didn't have to do?
Yes, I think I have to be more prepared. I think that's still true now. I always feel like if I can come to the table with the most knowledge and maybe even more research and prep than they do, and it's different roles, right? But in general, then no one can catch me being unaware, or no one can catch me making a mistake. And that's not always true because believe me, I make a million mistakes every single day. But I think it's always been about that. I made a decision very early on to say, I'm not going to use being a woman as an excuse. I'm going to use it as an advantage and say,
Mhm.
what I bring to the table is a different perspective. And I found that to grow even more becoming a mother, and just seeing my life change, with adding children into it and all of that. But I've tried to lean into that while also not making it a thing, if that makes sense. And I think for what I found, especially here, is that we're really lucky. Mina Kimes is an amazing woman who's on our show, who is an NFL analyst, and she's truly a trailblazer. She'd be an amazing guest too. You would love her. She's
Yeah,
fantastic,
that
but
absolutely.
she's amazing.
Like,
But
Annie, producer, please jot that down.
yes, Mina Kimes, I love her. But she's somebody who is sitting there analyzing the game right alongside our guys who played the game. And what we found that's been so beautiful about our job on NFL Live for the last 5, almost 6 years, is that our guys don't treat us any different. They treat us as the exact same. We're group texting during games. We're saying like, "Oh, did you notice this?" Or "What did you think about what they did on third down?" "Well, I thought this and that." They never talk differently to us, and they always treat us as though we're equals. So I think the support of male colleagues has been huge for us. But yeah, there's a lot of things that we have to do a lot differently in a male dominated world. And I think the main thing is you always feel like you're starting maybe at a disadvantage. So how do I
Absolutely.
overcompensate to make that not be a thing?
The craziest thing to me is that you don't need to have played football to report on football or to analyze
Right.
football. Like, there are GMs in the NFL that have never played football before in their lives. And so when it comes to a woman reporting on sports, being on the sidelines, talking about it, analyzing it, I have so much like love for that person because I'm like, no, they
Mhm.
don't need to play football to know what
Yeah.
the hell that they're doing. And the way I can compare it is that, like, whenever you wear a band tee, people are like, "Oh, do you even know their songs?" It's like, "I'm a fan of the Los Angeles Chargers." "Oh, can you even name 5 player?" It's
uh,
like, "Are you okay?"
yeah,
And
like
it
stop.
I'm like, "Have you played professional football before?" "No?" "Okay,
No.
we're in the same category then." And so it's so
It's well
interesting
said.
seeing that, like, women don't belong in this space, but I'm like, why?" Because you sitting on your couch said anyways, it's a sensitive subject for me. Big news for anyone looking to upgrade your energy without the crash. Accelerator is my favorite zero sugar energy drink is now offering a variety pack of the top 3 flavors, cherry ice pop, rocket pop, and tropical punch on Amazon. It gives me sustained energy with 100% natural caffeine, and if you're anything like me, there are multiple times throughout the day that you need to pick me up, and I am telling you that this is the best energy drink on the market. And with all of the amazing flavors, I promise you will never get tired of it. I'm going to be linking this in the show notes. You need to run and get it now on Amazon. A few things that I love about Accelerator is that they have zero sugar and also it sustains energy. So throughout the day, I'm constantly feeling energized and also no crashes, which I can appreciate because I need energy until bedtime. It also accelerates your metabolism and enhances your focus. It is clinically proven and it is natural caffeine, which is just another win. I have been loving the tropical punch flavor, but I recently tried the cotton candy, and I think they're both fighting each other for my number one. But no matter what, in the morning, I'm always reaching for them. And something I just really love about them is that it doesn't make me feel like I'm going to crash later on in the day, so I don't have to compromise. Highly recommend trying out Accelerator. It is available on Amazon. Upgrade your energy here. After having a baby, my chest is no longer what it used to be, if you know what I'm saying. Like, I literally have to wear a bra, unless I want my girls touching the floor. But that's besides the point. I want to talk about the Fits Everybody collection from Skims. I've been wearing this collection for the past few years. I think back when my husband and I lived in Indiana, I made a YouTube video all about the Fits Everybody collection, and I genuinely always have their bras and underwear on. I'm one of those girls that I don't really love to wear underwear if I don't have to, but their underwear makes you feel like you're not wearing any underwear in general, which is something I love about it. As for bras, I am not a huge fan of underwire at all. I like a bra so comfortable that I can go to sleep in it and I don't even notice that it's still on. Like, not one of those bras where you rip it off when you come home. No. And the Fits Everybody collection does exactly that. I never want to take it off and I never feel like I have to be comfortable. So I'm such a big fan of it. Another reason I love the Fits Everybody collection is because it is so buttery soft, buttery smooth. My husband has even made compliments on how soft the fabric is. So we are all huge fans of not only Skims, but their Fits Everybody collection. And now that my chest looks and feels a little bit different, this is my go-to bra every single day, just from a comfort standpoint. And it's really easy to throw on, not uncomfortable, no underwire. And again, it is so freaking smooth. So if you guys are interested, I personally highly recommend checking it out. Shop Skims Ultimate Bra Collection and more at skims.com and Skims LA flagship on Sunset Boulevard. And after you place your order, be sure to let them know that I sent you. Select podcast in the survey and make sure to select my show in the drop-down menu that follows. Again, if you're interested in checking out the Fits Everybody collection, be sure to head over to www.skims.com/SSC. You mentioned your husband might have a dabble in sports in his background. So how did you meet him?
Oh my goodness. It's like the funniest story. I love telling the story. So, in 2011, he had been drafted by the Rockies his junior year. He played baseball at Alabama. So he was back in Tuscaloosa just training and everything that fall. So I was just freshly out of college. I was trying to cut my teeth. Like I was scrounging for any possible job because basically I was probably making the same, like, no money that I was going to make if I was a ballet dancer, but now I was making it doing something totally different. I was living
Right.
off of like a bag of broccoli every week, which is just crazy. But anyway, so one of my connections that I had was this woman who wanted to go to Tuscaloosa to do this tailgate piece for the Alabama LSU football game, which was like the first game of the century that happened. Since there've been a few more, but in 2011, that was the game in early November. So we
Right.
went and she said, "Well, I want to go to this Alabama baseball tailgate and we're going to do some pieces on these, people tailgating." And I was like, "That sounds terrible. Like a bunch of drunk baseball players. No thanks." And ew. But she dragged me there and I was kind of like her camera woman. So I wasn't really doing anything on camera. I was just following her around and trying to get experience. So anyway, he was there and we had a mutual friend who introduced us and he was like, "Oh yeah, this guy is like such a big deal in Tuscaloosa." And I was like, "Well, that's a big turn off." I don't
You're like,
care.
yikes, turning around
Like, ew.
180.
But he also looks like, I think, a better looking version of Leonardo DiCaprio. So, he had my attention a
Oh
little
my
bit.
God.
Like, he's real cute. No, he's cute. He's like 100%. We'll like go to the nail salon together because sometimes, he wants to get a pedicure and they'll be talking about, like, I've literally been asked before, "Well, what does it feel like that your husband is so much cuter than you?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but I have a great personality, so who cares?" But anyway, so
I'm like,
so he
jail to those people.
I know. It's
Jail.
amazing what people say, but so we started talking though, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? He's kind of cool, you know." So, but that was it. But this is when Twitter was pretty new. So I didn't know what I was doing, but I slid into his DMs I didn't
Twitter.
realize that's what that was, but I was like, "Oh, this is that guy." So I sent him a message. So we kind of were like DMing back and forth. And then we ended up back in Alabama the week after that. We ran into each other randomly in this
You're like, "I need to go
restaurant.
back to find Leonardo
I'm
DiCaprio."
like, "Where's Leonardo?" Like, "Oh shoot, he's in the restaurant." I'm like, I had told my mom about him, and so I went to the bathroom. I'm like, "Mom, that guy is here." And of course, old fashioned like Southern lady. She's like, "Do you have any lipstick on? Like, put your lipstick on." I'm like, "Mom, I don't think he's gonna care about that." But anyway, so that was how we started dating, and very quickly, he was early on like just so awesome. We were super young. Obviously, we're like 22, 23. We got married when we were 25. But I
Wow.
loved that he was so sure of wanting to be with me. And I thought,
Mhm.
I don't know that I'm ready for like this serious relationship right now, but I thought I cannot lose this guy. So I'm gonna have to get ready and figure it out. And we've been really fortunate to grow together over the last 11. We just celebrated our 11th wedding anniversary. We've been together for like 13 years. So
Oh my
crazy.
well, congratulations.
Thanks.
That's so impressive, and I have to make note, I love when hot people marry hot people. Like, when 2 good-looking people get
Well,
married,
you
which
would know.
opposed to what the people at the nail salon are saying,
I know.
I'm like, I love when hot people end up together, and,
Thank you.
it's just gonna make our I'm like, "Whatever." But so then after you guys got married, how quickly did you decide, "Okay, we wanna start a family," and did your job go into play in that? Because I know being a woman in the workforce, I'm like, it's so unfortunate, but it is something that you think about.
Oh yeah, 100%. So early on, because he was still playing baseball professionally, and at first I said, I'm just not gonna work and I'm gonna go where you go. And that lasted for like barely a season. And he goes, "You need to go back to work. You're annoying and you're annoying me because you want to be working." And sometimes it's like I admire women so much who are able to say, "I'm gonna stay home, I'm gonna take care of the house, I'm gonna do," like there's so much value and beauty in that. And I just couldn't do it. It wasn't I felt that there was so much more that I needed to do and I
Yep,
wanted to do. And he was wonderful about, sort of saying like, "Yeah, let's figure something out." But I had given everything up. I had some great jobs with Fox Sports. I gave those up to say, "No, I'm going to focus on him and go where he goes in baseball." And so I kind of was back to square one, which is interesting. It's the reason why I ended up at ESPN is I basically was scrounging around for anything I could get, and finally somebody wrote me back. But I early on we knew we wanted to have kids. We were also like, we're too young right now. We didn't feel like it was the right time. But then, probably 2 or 3 years into our marriage, we're like, all right, let's start trying. And it just wasn't happening. And we were thinking, do we need to go, the IVF route? What do we need to do? And we kind of had tabled it for a little bit just because it was becoming so upsetting. And I feel for so many women and their husbands, their partners who are going through this because it really does just wear on you and you feel like something's wrong with you, that
yep.
why it's not happening. So then funny enough, all of a sudden, when we had been married for 7 years, but it was like, January, February of 2019, I'm like, huh, something's weird. I don't feel right. Take a pregnancy test and boom. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is amazing. But then I do the math back to your original question about work. And I'm like, this
Oh,
baby is going to be born in October. And at this point, like, I really thought maybe we can't get pregnant. We're going to need, additional help if it's
right.
even possible. So it wasn't even in my frame of mind at that point to think. And I was on this like, kind of upward trajectory at that point at work. I had just started doing more with Get Up on ESPN, which is ESPN's morning show. I was like spending a bunch of time in New York. I was working toward a new contract and I'm like, I just ruined it all. Like I really felt like it's all over. It's not going to work. I was
Yep.
so scared to tell my bosses. They were great about it, but it was just a really tough thing for me to swallow to feel I felt like I had done something wrong. And I
Yep.
really, I mean, when my daughter's old enough, I am going to apologize to her for thinking about it that way because she is the best thing that ever happened to me. But I really did have a lot of anger about like the timing of it all. And it was so hard. It's so hard because when you tried that long to get pregnant and then it finally happens and then you're like, you're feeling anything but
Yes.
like not fully happy. But I just feel like women, I don't know. I'll never
It's
forget.
I have to say, it's not even, like, you feeling bad that you felt anything, like, except happy, it's kind of like society's fault because I feel
Yeah.
like this world does not like value mothers in a way that they
Yeah.
show that they are like appreciated. It doesn't give them this huge village that everybody talks about. Oh my God, your number one thing is you should have a village. I didn't have a village. So
Nope.
it's so real. And I'm sure so many women will relate to hearing your perspective with that.
Mhm.
Even having gone through infertility and not able to get pregnant super quick. And it is so interesting hearing your take on that. And it's so unfortunate. And I blame the world, to be honest,
Yeah,
because mothers,
you're
it's
right.
just like we shouldn't have to choose, like we shouldn't have to feel bad. But that goes above and beyond. I'm like, I don't know how to solve that. But hopefully having conversations like this will at least contribute to that.
Well, I think what is so important to me, and I'm so glad you said that, is that I felt this pressure to go back to work, like 3 weeks after having Reese. I was back to work wearing a diaper on TV, like couldn't get through airport security because they're like searching my pants and they're like, what is in there? And I'm like, you
I'm
don't want to know.
thoroughly impressed. I
So,
love that.
and
I thought
like,
it
I
was big of me
feel,
to go to Target 3 weeks postpartum, and here you
well,
are.
but I shouldn't have done that, and it was really bad, and it was bad for me and bad for her, and, like, I ended up getting mastitis. There were all these things, right? And I
Yeah.
I feel for so many women who, like, don't have a choice. They have to go back to work, and they have to, and that's a societal problem, and it's also, there needs to be a switch, and so I hope that women who, like, might be trying to figure out what they're gonna do or how they're gonna handle it, like, just take your time. It's going to be
Yeah.
okay. And whatever was there for you before is going to be waiting, and maybe it's going to be even better than it was before. But if it's not, that's just not important. And I wish I could have understood that. I could not understand it at that time. I couldn't grasp it. I thought I had to race back, and then it was just way harder than it should have been,
I
and
was
it,
gonna
it was
say,
unnecessary.
it's almost like you're trying to prove people wrong, like,
Yes, it's
just, like,
weird.
proactively. So, being postpartum, you're like, "I need to get back out there and show people," and, like, and then when people are like, "Wow, like, you're already back, like, that's crazy," and you're like, "Yeah, like, not a big deal," and then in a few months, you're like, "Wait, why did I
Like,
do that?"
I'm not okay. I know, like, nobody's
Exactly.
okay. It's been so bad. I learned a lot from that. I did not do that with our second baby. I took some time, but even then, you just feel like it's not enough and it's never enough. And, I think that's like my biggest daily juggle is trying to figure out how do you give as much as you can possibly give to your children and to being a mom, but also still like maintain some sort of self-preservation and like whatever it is, that's going to make you happy in that day aside from just your kids, because that's important too, and not letting
Right.
guilt like consume all of that. It's just all these different
No,
parts of
it's like
it.
you wanna, like, be successful in your job because you love your job, but then while you're at your job, you're like, "I wish I was with my kids," and then when you're
Yes.
with your kids, you're like, "Okay, I wish I had a second alone," and then when you have a second alone, you're like, "Dang, like, I feel guilty because now they're asleep and I miss them," and it's just
Yep.
like this constant, like, circle of life. How did you handle pregnancy while working at ESPN? Did you have an easy pregnancy? Were you bolting for the bathroom? Like, how was that?
I was so sick both times, which
Oh
which
my.
I do think it was like just trying to work too much. I needed to rest, and your body's telling you
Need a
like you're already
saltine?
right, eat a salt. I was eating, the only thing I could really eat was like a PB, just a PB, not a PB and J. So
Oh,
I
no.
was eating like these peanut butter on bread. Like, ugh, now I even think about it, like that makes me nauseous because it was
Your
just the whole
throat's
thing.
dry, you're like, "It's stuck in the roof of
Disgusting.
my
You're like,
mouth."
it was nasty. And I think the other thing that was tough for me is, like, and it's so vain because it's like, who cares? This is a beautiful thing that you're growing this life inside you, and we're so lucky to be able to do that. And that was never lost on me. But getting like really big on national TV and like people seeing the progression, that's just like not for the faint of heart, like
I I
ugh.
yeah, when everybody sees you gaining and getting swollen, the last 2
Mhm.
weeks, I'm like, it looked like I had lip injections, which honestly I kinda loved, but
I
it
know. I'm like, I want those
everybody
lips back, but
your like growth in like your journey to growing this child, everybody gets to give their opinion on it. So, oh
yes.
my gosh, especially being on TV,
Well,
I'm like, at least if I have a bad angle, I'm deleting that and I'm gonna put on a filter and repost. But I can only imagine
I
if I didn't have control over the editing.
Oh, goodness, and I had there are some angles, like, NFL Live, like, it's shot, like, a really unique way, so we have these cameras, like, moving all around, and I'd see that camera coming, and it's like a rolly chair, and I'd
It's
be like,
giving a
"Whoop." Like, you can see my back, but otherwise it'd be like, just belly, and I realized that very early on, I was like, "Oh," like, who cares what people say on social media, but it's hard when
yeah,
you're already really emotional and you're kind of feeling insecure, and so I don't know. I look back at, photos and I'm like, oh, that's so cool because now I know the person who was inside that belly and it
yep,
means so much to me. I'm glad like there were photos. And I think, oh, I didn't look that bad. Like
right.
what was I thinking? But anyway, in the moment, it was challenging and, definitely with our first pregnancy, we had some third trimester complications that made it to where they told me I had to stop traveling, and I think about all that, and I think I was just doing too much. Like I was already doing a lot to be like carrying the child and all of that, and then to try to add on top of that was probably too much. But you couldn't have told me that then. I would have been like,
It's like, "Don't tell me what to do." Actually, no, I literally look back to when I moved, 2 weeks before moved at 37 weeks pregnant,
oh my
and I
goodness,
look back and I'm like, why did I choose violence? Like, I really just should have sat down
that's
and ate a
amazing.
cupcake and just called it a day. But I do every time I have a mom on my show, I like to ask them how they got their pink back after having kids. So, like, what kind of things did you do? Or are you still
Mm.
doing them just to like give you like this new identity that you have? You're also a mom. And what did you do?
Yeah, I am still, I think, struggling with that a lot. And I think some of it has to do with being someone who, when you also have a job and a career that you're like balancing and all of this, it's like that comes first before getting yourself back. So you
Right.
feel like you have to get back to that and you have to like just pour yourself back into that. And early on, I think in returning to work with both pregnancies, I felt very lost and very like not myself and trying to fake it. And the weird thing about being on TV is we have to sometimes fake it anyway. So I'm kind of good at that, which is I don't like that about myself, but that's just part of it. Um but I think this is funny. It's like a really relevant question right now because this was probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I just looked at my husband and I was like, I haven't worked out. Like I haven't gone to a workout or really done anything beyond just like, I don't know, carrying kids around since like probably in like 5 years, like five to 7 years, maybe even before having Greece, because
Crazy.
we were trying to get pregnant. And I was like, just I was more focused on that than I was like working
Yes.
out. And I was reading everything about what you should be doing and shouldn't anyway. So I was like, I wanna go to a class. Like I want to do something again, and we found this like it's called solid core. It's like actually kicking our butts,
Oh,
but
no. I have been humbled by solid core. Me and
same.
solid core, we're no longer in a relationship.
No, I solid core just hates to see me coming because all I do is flop down on the machine the entire time. Like I'm literally like I can't do anything. Ugh, it's
I see
terrible.
these 20-year-old girls shaking on the reformer, and I'm like, "My
Yes.
abs are separated. Why do
Yeah.
I think I'm allowed in this class? I need to go to a PT appointment, and we'll talk soon."
Right. Okay, so same. So like I had no strength. I mean I still don't. But I said no, I'm going to make this a routine. I'm going to make this like a habit. And I will say probably in the last 10 days or so, I've like finally started to feel like myself again. And the interesting thing about it is I've finally gotten past like feeling guilty about leaving. Like a couple times,
Yeah,
when I was going to the class, like Jack would be upset and he'd be like, Mama, and I'm like, "Ah, just stay with him. You don't, my inner talk is like, just
right.
stay with him. You don't need to go do that
You're
for
like, "Oh,
yourself."
you can,
Like,
like, work out in the living room." No, you're
right.
not. You're not
No,
gonna
you're
do
not.
that.
Cause I'm not, because I'll
Yes.
just like try to do one crunch and be like, all right, that was
Like, "This
it,
isn't doing anything." Yeah. Exactly.
So I think just, and some days like are better than others and all that. And you have a bad day and you start feeling like a total bum and you're like, who am I anymore? And that's just, I think, normal. But just whatever it is, that works for whoever you are, I do think like getting past that guilt part of it is the hardest part. And then ultimately you're rewarded. And I do believe that like a happy mom or like a mom who feels empowered or whoever she is, like that's the best for our kids. They
Oh,
want to
no,
see that.
there is research that is backed on what
Yeah.
like, how successful a child is going to be in their life is dependent on their mom's happiness, and so
It gives me chills.
and whenever I think of me feeling guilty, I'm like, "No, this is good," and
Mhm.
I'm not a bad mom for wanting time away
You're
from
a
my
great
daughter.
mom.
Makes me a better mom, and
Yeah.
going to the workout thing, it is so relatable because I definitely struggled to find my identity outside of my daughter, but workout classes have became one of my favorite ways to feeling more me. And I'm not
Yeah.
talking about bouncing back. I'm not talking about like
No.
looking in the mirror and having a six pack. It is genuinely like if you go to a workout class, you're putting your phone away. You're there
Mhm.
with other people, a lot of them typically are
Women.
moms and
Yes.
women, and you're
Right.
able to it doesn't matter if you're doing the workout 100%. It's just genuinely you're gonna go to a workout class and you're gonna leave feeling better, whether you, like, gave 100% or mentally you were just like, "Hey, this is just some free time." So
Yeah.
if there are any moms listening, I highly recommend workout classes, and there are so many that actually offer childcare because I know that for
Yes.
moms, like, without help or without their village, like, there are still ways not to bounce back, just to feel more like yourself. Um,
Right.
it's so crazy hearing that, like, you haven't, like, taken that time for yourself. How do you balance everything?
Oh man, I think half the time I'm thinking about that analogy of like, okay, there's some glass balls and there's some plastic balls and like you've got to just drop some of the plastic ones. And the hard part about that is that oftentimes the plastic ones for me are work related. So I think what's happened is even in the last like year, 2 years or so, which some of this could be just a postpartum thing, but I've had a lot more anxiety, like being at work and being on TV, because I think I feel not as prepared as I did before. And I talked about that, like the preparation, the research that's required, especially when you're a woman and maybe you feel like you have to do a little bit extra, which I certainly do. So I feel like I have to drop some of that to balance all of it
Yep,
because there's just no way. And there are things that are just more important. They just have to be like no matter what, even if I lost my job tomorrow, my kids are always going to be the most important thing and my home and my husband and all of those things. But it does take a toll. I think balance, this is kind of weird, but I don't know if you feel this way. I think balance takes a toll. Like trying to figure out how to balance it because you are thinking like, what can I sacrifice today? Okay, so today I'm going to sacrifice this extra research packet I was going to read. I don't really need to do that because instead it's better for me to run around outside with my son for like 20 minutes. And
exactly.
but then I'm going to be really anxious when I'm hosting
When
that show and I didn't read that research packet. So I don't know. It's I don't know how
I
to
wish there were more
balance.
hours in the day.
That's it.
That's
That's what we need. And to
I'll
sleep too, but
Yeah, like, sleep is
uh,
my least favorite activity because I'm like, it just takes up so much of my time,
it
and I don't have
does.
time to waste. So I'm like, I'm a night owl and a morning person. I just don't
Yeah,
like sleeping.
same.
No, I will be on ChatGPT like, "Okay, here's everything I have to get done this week. Can you make me a list of, like, how to do it, when to do it?" And it's just like, "Oh, like, malfunctioning, can't, like." I'm like, "Okay, great, great." I'm like, that's
Not
exactly why
possible.
that's why my brain feels the way that it is.
Right.
But d I mean, do you give yourself grace when it comes to balancing everything?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. And I can be really mean to myself, and I'll look back and be like, well, that probably wasn't necessary. And one of the things that's been interesting, like I think early on in my career, and not even that early on, maybe even just a few years ago, I really struggled with nerves all the time. I would be so nervous I was going to mess up. And I realized it was affecting the way that I was on air. Like I wasn't as good as I could have been because I'm thinking the whole time, like, I'm going to make a mistake and I'm going to
Right.
misspeak or whatever it is. And so I've tried that sort of led me to thinking through things of like, hey, no, you've got this. Like, you can do this. And it seems
Mhm.
simple, but constantly reminding myself of, hey, you did this, so you can do this. And I think that's
Mhm.
like my form of grace that I give to myself, is almost reminding myself of my own accomplishments, or like hard things that I've gotten through, or tough days that where I felt like there was no way I could go on air, or I don't know, if I'm not
Right.
feeling well, I'm like, hey, well, that one day, like, you were so sick and you got through it. And whatever it is, it's just something like that, almost like your own past being a way to amplify your future. And I don't know. I need to be better about giving grace to myself, because I love
Mhm.
giving grace to other people. But
Right?
um
And then when it comes to you, it's like you are, like, your own critic, like,
I
you're the
am
hardest on yourself, whereas if you saw somebody in your shoes, you would give them totally different advice than what you're talking to yourself, like
so
your inner
true.
monologue. You're like, "Oh my god, just, like, shape up," and then just somebody else would be like, "Can you go and have a glass of wine or something?
Yeah,
Like, you
like,
need to
you're
relax."
doing great.
Exactly,
I
like,
know.
yeah. I am so excited to be working with LMNT because it has been a recent obsession. They help me stay hydrated without the sugar and other dodgy ingredients found in popular electrolyte and sports drinks, and they taste so good. I am clearly obsessed, if you guys follow me on social media, clearly obsessed with the raspberry salt flavor. I drink it every single day without fail, and when I run out of the flavor, I love the other flavors just as much. If you guys didn't know, electrolyte deficiency and imbalance can cause headaches, cramps, fatigue, brain fog, weakness, and it is so crucial to your health. Element is a zero sugar electrolyte drink mix and sparkling electrolyte water born from the growing body of research revealing that optimal health outcomes occur at sodium levels 2 to 3 times what our government recommends. Element is formulated for anyone on a mission to restore health through hydration, and it is perfectly suited for athletes, folks who are fasting, or those following keto, low carb, whole food, or paleo diets. The community also serves as proof of Element because it is used by US Olympians and has partnered with Team USA weightlifting and many Olympic athletes. Professional athletes use Element, special forces, health experts, business leaders, and also everyday health. Like, hello, I'm a mom and I run from time to time. And I personally love Element so much. So, right now, Element is offering a free sample pack with any purchase. That's 8 single serving packets free with any Element order. And that's a great way to try out all of their flavors or share Element with a friend. You guys, I always have them in my purse whenever I'm traveling. If I'm going to the gym, it is my favorite way to consume water and electrolytes. Get yours at drinkelement.com/Sunday. This deal is only available through my link. You must go to drinklmnt.com/Sunday. And also, you can try Element totally risk-free. If you don't like it, they'll refund your order, no questions asked. And now a word from our friends at Drybar. You guys, I love Drybar's products, and I currently have in route their all new Drybar Blowout Defense Collection, which is game-changing hair products that prep for a gorgeous blowout that lasts up to 96 hours. Drybar knows when creating your own blowout at home, it's nearly impossible. By the time you have made it to work or shown up at your date, your blowout has already fallen. Literally me after going to the park for 5 minutes. That's why Drybar created Blowout Defense Collection to ensure your blowout lasts up to 96 hours so that you don't have to redo it every single day. And as a mom, that is something that I can get behind. Anything that's going to save me time and energy. So I'm a big fan of this. Some things that make me really excited about Drybar's Blowout Defense Collection is that the Blowout Defense Strengthen and Extend Blowout Accelerator Spray cuts blow dry time by 32% while locking in styles, a total game changer when you're in a rush or also if you just don't want to waste extra time on your hair. Not only does it speed things up, but it also detangles and protects your hair from heat so that you're styling smarter, not harder. The Blowout Defense Strengthen and Extend shampoo is one of those products that actually works. It hydrates, detangles, and strengthens your hair with every wash, and it also repairs any damage with the Hydrobond peptide. And the Blowout Defense Strengthen and Extend Conditioner hydrates, detangles like a dream, and leaves hair so soft, minimizing breakage. I don't know about you guys, but I am always looking for products that can give me that salon quality result without the trip. And it's products like these that genuinely get me excited because my perfect morning includes my blow drying time going down. So I cannot wait to try out these products. Be sure to stay tuned on how I'm loving them. If you guys are also interested in trying them out, you can get a gorgeous blowout that lasts now and shop Drybar's Blowout Defense Collection products at drybar.com. Are you sleeping hotter than hell? Even worse, your husband likes a cold bed, but you desperately want a warm oasis to dive into after getting your baby to sleep or getting out of the shower. You're like, I just want it to be warm. Yeah, that's literally me. So let's take a second to talk about Sleep Me. The Chili Pad bed cooling system was designed with moms and parents in mind. It lets you customize your sleeping environment to your personal temperature, ensuring that you fall asleep faster and wake up recovered. Chili pads work with your existing mattress. It's a temperature regulated, water based mattress topper that precisely controls your bed temperature from 55 to 115 degrees. And also, something that has me sold is that these systems are buildable and designed for 1 to 2 sleepers. So, if your sleep partner likes to sleep at a different temperature or you only need it for one side of the bed, that's okay too. You guys, my husband likes to get into a extremely cold bed and I like the opposite. So this is such a game changer for us. I can preheat my side to a cozy 100 degrees Fahrenheit and then let it automatically cool down so I get the deep, cool sleep I need without even knowing. And that's why professional athletes to power couples swear by Chili Pad. If you have anxiety over your baby waking up at night, Chili Pad. Have postpartum night sweats, Chili Pad. Want to fall back asleep faster from night feedings, Chili Pad. Such a win for moms, and I wish I had this postpartum. So if you guys are interested, you can visit www.sleep.me/Sunday to get your Chili Pad and save up to $315 with code Sunday. The special offer is available for Sunday Sports Club listeners and only for a limited time. Order today with free shipping and try it out for 30 days. You can return it for free if you don't like it with their sleep trial. So visit www.sleep.me/Sunday and see why cold sleep is making me a better mom and better wife. You and your daughter share a birthday. How do you celebrate birthdays in your house? Do you both celebrate together? Do you like put it on different dates?
It's more about her now, for sure. This is funny
Mhm.
because her half birthday was actually this week. I realized it, and so I like did a little surprise like half birthday celebration. My husband was rolling his eyes. He's like, "Are we celebrating half birthdays now? Because like we don't have time for that." I'm like, "No, no, this just popped out of nowhere." But no, it's like more about her. The funny thing is, my mom, when my mom realized, because I was being induced, so when she realized that Reese was going to be born on my birthday, she was like, "Oh, but that's your birthday and I don't want her to have your birthday because it's about you." And she was so cute. She like brought a little cake to the hospital that she made, and at the
Oh,
time I was like, "Mom, who cares? Like whatever, it's just a birthday." And now like having my own daughter, I think, well, I don't want anybody else to have your birthday because you're the best thing I've
right.
ever seen in my life. So my mom, I think, is the key person who like still tries to celebrate my birthday, which is really sweet.
Aw,
But it's definitely all about Reese now, which I
moms are the
also love.
best.
They're the best. I know.
Th
Love
it's
her.
it's actually funny that you celebrated her half birthday. I was 3 weeks postpartum when I had my birthday after having my daughter,
Oh,
and I was like, "I don't wanna do anything." My
yeah,
husband was
no.
so cute, he booked us, like, a
Oh,
staycation at a hotel down the street. I was like, "You want me to bring
oh.
all of my newborn shit
All this stuff, I
into this
know.
hotel?"
Can't do it.
Absolutely not. You get points for trying, but absolutely not. We're
Oh.
different direction. And so
Yeah,
for my half birthday, I was like, whatever you were planning to do for my birthday, now you have a redo. And so
I
we
love
celebrated the
it.
half birthday.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I also have a January birthday, so I'm like, celebrating in the summer sounds way better. Um,
Yeah.
Now transitioning into football, the NFL draft is coming up. So, what are you doing to prep for that? Like, there are a lot of characters, a lot of stories. Like, do you have flashcards?
Oh my goodness, it's so much, right? I think the thing that helps me a ton with the draft is that it is the final intersection of college football and the NFL. So I cover the college guys, mostly
Yep.
SEC, but throughout college football during the year. And so I actually get really excited about this time of year because I'll tell our guys, I'm like, hey, remember that guy I was telling you about? Like, look, now you're watching his film, now you care about him. And like Mina will ask me questions. She'll be, what did you think about this guy? And so it's really cool. That part of it's great.
Yep.
And the neat thing about the prep for this, which I love, it's different from anything else that I prep for, is on NFL Live right now, like every single day, we are talking about all this stuff. So I'll do
Mhm.
an additional prep probably in the week or so, like after the Masters next week. That next week I'll probably dial it in even more and just like get a little more nitty gritty with it. But right now I'm kind of like daily doing the prep already, which is amazing because
Yep.
time is of the essence, as we know. But the unique role that I have, and you'll love this, this is like such a special thing to me every year, but I'm in the green room with the families when their son
No
gets drafted.
way.
It like makes me emotional anytime we talk about
I'm
it because it's,
so
oh, it's
jealous.
so sweet. It's like the sweetest thing. But yet like I'm kind of awkward. So it's like a really awkward thing because they're like having this big moment and then you're like, "Ooh," the producers are like, get in there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I can't. Like I don't want to be in their moment,
You're
so
like,
I'm
"He's
trying to
hugging
like,
his mom, give
I'm
me
like,
5
give me
seconds."
a second. They'll be like, we're coming to you. I'm like, okay. So, but anyway, so I'll do like it's a really fun prep. I'll prep on their families. So I'll
Oh,
like look up their parents or their caregivers and their siblings, their
mhm,
girlfriends, wives, whatever it may be. So that part of it. Some of them have children, so it
mhm.
is so cool and so fun. And that's like every year a prep that I really look forward to. It's a little different.
I think that right now is the craziest time in football in your field because all the free agency changes are happening. The NFL draft, which opens a new huge group of men, and there's
So
just so
true.
many changes happening. My husband's been trying to study, and so he did make flashcards, which I
I
found
love
adorable. I was
that.
like, this is adorable, but I'm like, now I
There's
know all of this stuff because 'cause I'm quizzing
I
him.
know,
Like, I don't need
right?
to know all 32 head coaches, GMs. I'm like, "This is too much for my brain." I'm like, "I should be worrying about mom stuff." I'm like, "What milestone does she need to accomplish?"
No, I
Um,
love this. You're now listen, you need to be doing it too. Like we're getting
yes.
you involved.
Oh, yeah. But it's
You're
crazy.
already.
You talking about the NFL draft, I think is such a magical day. It is my
Oh,
favorite
it's the
day
best.
in the NFL/college
I
in
agree.
general, just because it is so magical seeing something that these guys have worked their entire lives. Some playing football since they were 3 years old, holding a football in the hospital, all the way up
Yeah.
into them being drafted, and it's so magical seeing, grown men get emotional. I'm like, I
Mhm.
something about it, I just love it so much. So I'm like, one of these days I am going to work the NFL draft because
We need
that
to make this happen.
like manifesting right now. What does your NFL draft experience look like morning of?
Yeah, oh my goodness. I get like so jittery about it because it's just it is. It's you're seeing dreams realized. But usually so Thursday of, the first round of the draft, we'll do a 2-hour NFL live show, which is going to be very chilly in Green Bay. I've never been to Green
Mm,
Bay, so I'm excited about
I
that.
haven't either.
We're gonna experience it for the first time. So we'll do NFL Live, and then I usually do like a quick change. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it this year because it's gonna be chillier, but I'll do a
Right.
quick change like in the bathroom or like a porta potty. I've done it in porta potties most of the time because there's just like nothing else. I did it in the back of a car last year, which was wild. But then to get to the red carpet. So as soon as NFL Live's over, race to the red carpet. We'll do interviews with the players who are there on the red carpet and then do that for a little bit and then go inside that green room and get ready. And I'm doing reports and I'm just talking to the families before it actually gets started. And then when it gets started, just there all night, basically waiting to see who gets drafted and whether or not they're there. Some guys don't come now, but
Yeah.
it's going to be, I mean, this year is a fascinating draft. Like we think that Cam Ward's going to go number 1 overall, but like does Travis Hunter go to the Browns? Do the Browns decide to get a quarterback? Do they get Shador? Shador Sanders pro day is going on. There's so many teams that are there. The Giants have like every single person in their organization there, which makes you think, okay, maybe they're going to take him at 3, but if they don't, then who's going to take him? It's like it's a wild draft, I think, with
It
what
is
can
the
end up
Wild
happening.
West.
It is. Yes. I
It's
love it.
so crazy because if one team doesn't take a certain player, all hell breaks loose, and they're like, "Okay, well, this guy's available, like, do we?" It's so fun watching the
Yeah.
draft because like, the unthinkable always happens, and
So
that's what I
true.
love about sports in general, is that you just, like, expect the unexpected, right?
It's the best. It's a thrill. Like that's
Yes,
it is the ultimate thrill. There's nothing else like it in the world, and especially on TV where you just have no idea what's going to happen and you just have to
right.
go with it.
And I also have to assume, like, I've never seen the MLB draft, I've never seen NHL. I have watched the NFL draft every single year, and
Yeah.
it seems like every diehard football fan at least is sitting there like tuned in, and it's just so adorable to see all these people cheering for like this. I mean, how old? 20, 21 year
Yeah,
olds?
at the oldest,
Crazy.
right? Well, there is a quarterback, Tyler
Oh
Shuck,
gosh.
who you'll hear about, who's like 25 and he's gonna be 26, but he could end up, I don't think he sneaks into the first round, but he'll be a second round pick for sure. But
Which
yeah, most of them are super young.
Going into that, like, even my husband last or his last few years in the NFL, he was like, "I'm old in terms of football years." And I'm like,
You're like,
"You're
you're so young.
26, like, what do
I
you
know,
mean?"
it's crazy.
And it's so interesting, and there's a changing landscape of college football with the transfer portal. How have you seen that affect NFL teams, and do
Mm.
you think that impacts, like, draft decisions?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I do think it's actually impacted some of the draft decisions and the NFL in general positively because some of these guys, like let's take Bo Nix for example, who's now a great quarterback. He had a great rookie season with the Broncos. Sean Payton loved him. He was a guy who started out at Auburn. I covered some of his first games when he was at Auburn, and he wasn't very good. And he was young, and there
Mhm.
were a lot of people that expected more out of him, and it was sort of like a bad story, right? And he had not lived up to expectations. Well, he transfers to Oregon. He gets all this experience, at these teams, and
Yeah,
he does so well at Oregon. He's a Heisman finalist. He ends up being a high draft pick. It's just if he had not gone to Oregon, there's no way he's picked where he was picked. There's no way he gets the opportunity that he gets. And that's a
totally.
quarterback as an example. There's so many other examples of players who are not quarterbacks who end up because of the transfer portal getting a better situation for themselves, getting noticed by these scouts and have more draft status than they would have otherwise.
Mhm. I love that positive view on it because every person I've talked to, usually there's a negative spin
I
on,
know.
"Oh, I don't think that's fair," or "I
Yeah,
think that, like, it kinda throws a huge mix into the NFL world and college football world." So it is interesting hearing that, and I do agree, like, allowing these guys to have an opportunity to prove themselves,
right.
I don't see a huge issue with that, but I know there's so much that, like, also plays into it. Are there any standout players or anybody with, like, a really cool story that we should keep our eye on?
I think Travis Hunter is just phenomenal. And the fact that he really is a transcendent talent because he truly is so high level on both sides of the ball. We just haven't seen anything like this, in really probably ever that would
Right.
be able to play at that level on both sides. And that's why, like, all these teams that need a quarterback, but also are picking in that top 3, top 5, even to pass on him if he's there is such a pickle, like, they're in such a conundrum, and he's just such a sweet guy. I got to spend some time with him. He won the Paul Horning Award, and I was there speaking, and so I got to spend some time with him, and he just, like, loves to fish, and he's not flashy. He doesn't do anything that's, that you would expect from, like, a guy who could do anything that he wants, right? He could be spending all this money. He could be no, he spent money on his mom. He bought his mom a new house. But
Oh, I
that's
love
really
that.
it. He's just got such a great head on his shoulder. So I love him. I think Abdul Carter is an incredible player, and he's somebody that may actually be the best player in this draft and could end up falling a little bit, but
Mhm.
like who cares? Because whoever gets him, it's going to be such a steal. So yeah, those are two that I absolutely love it. I mean, there's so many. This is a great draft. This is a super deep running back draft too. So that's not like the sexiest thing to talk about. But I think when you look back on this draft, a lot of teams will be made so much better by being able to pick a running back, even in like the third or fourth round, potentially, who I believe we'll see be like instant contributors even next season early on,
Right.
with whatever team they end up with.
And it's funny that you emphasize like there are so many running backs and great running backs in this draft class. One thing I have to point out to the people listening to this podcast is that some players have the ability to declare for the draft early and leave college earlier, whereas they have another year of eligibility. And I was so surprised how much that goes into play when
Mm,
guys are thinking to declare based on the draft class. Like how many
yes.
quarterbacks are in this draft class? How many running backs? How many tight ends? And it's a huge game changer because it'll determine if you get drafted higher, what team you get
Mm,
drafted to, how much money you make, if you get an opportunity to prove yourself. Because unlike college, there's no transfer portal in the NFL. Like if you're
yeah.
stuck behind a player and he's getting played a lot, the chances of you playing very slim.
No, that's a really good point because I do think they can get their draft grades. They can sort of like see where they might be slotted. And some of these players get bad advice and they come out anyway, and then they don't get drafted, nearly as high as they had hoped. And it does. I mean, that is really, it's like sad to say, but that's really a career maker or breaker a lot of times
Right.
is unless you're this like upper echelon top 10 level pick. But I mean,
Right.
there's only 10 of those. There's 7 rounds of the draft. So there's so many of these players. There's even like undrafted rookies who will end up getting an opportunity in camp and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be interesting this year to see, how some of this is. I think there are players that are a lot better than
Right.
what they'll end up getting when it comes to draft, because these teams know they don't have to draft them as high as they would have otherwise because there's so much depth.
So crazy. My favorite undrafted free agent story is always Austin Eckler. Like
I know. I
came
love that
out
story.
and he's still
Yes.
playing one of Isaac's teammates from Los Angeles Chargers, and I love stories like that. And I just want everybody to comprehend how many college football players are now entering the NFL, and to think that NFL players, there's only I mean, 53 man. I'm like, geez, I've only been out of this for like a year. 53-man roster and then
Yeah.
17 on practice squad. Like, think of all of those college athletes going into the NFL, fighting for your job to make it in the NFL. I mean, longer than 2 years, insane because
It's
it's
crazy.
so competitive and everybody wants your job. I mean,
It's
I want
so
the job.
hard. I know. Well, no, and like that's a really unique perspective that probably isn't out there enough, and obviously is personal to you. You've had to live it. Like to know that someone is constantly behind you, and God forbid you get injured or something happens, and then somebody comes in, and it's I love football, but it is such a business, and oftentimes the personal side of it I think gets lost in so much. I'll find myself, even it'll get real transactional on the show. We'll be like, all
Yep.
right, so this guy's going here and this guy got traded or this guy got cut. And I'm thinking, man, sometimes it'll hit me like they've got kids, they've got wives, they've got to uproot their whole
Yeah.
families. And no one's saying to feel sorry for people. They say, oh, well, they're making all this money and whatever. But it's not about that. It's about the uncertainty and about that just constant feeling of looking over your shoulder thinking, am I still going to have a job? I mean, I just, we went through that in baseball, and, again, we're not asking for sympathy, but I do think that it's probably an undertold aspect of all this.
Yeah, that's when I have nightmares back to when my husband lost his job when I was 37 weeks pregnant. Like the NFL is
Mhm.
a business and a lot of the time like it's just transactional and it's unfortunate. I remember making a video about my husband losing his job and everyone was like,
Yeah.
"I can't feel bad for a rich person." I'm like, "Hold on.
Ugh,
I'm like, you're still able to feel those feelings. I'm not saying that
right.
the world's ending, but like you're still able to feel that. And so it is so interesting. And I'm so excited for the NFL draft this year, especially because now my husband's on a different side of it with like
Yes.
looking into commentating and sports and all of this. And so it's gonna be really exciting. For sure. So, before we wrap up, do you have any advice to aspiring sports reporters who are listening?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is doing your research, doing your prep, getting any type of experience that you can get, whether it's just setting your phone up and trying to record yourself and look back at it and see what you did, which is hard to do. I hate watching myself back even now. But
Same.
doing everything you can to get reps. I know. Well,
Mhm.
you shouldn't because you're great, but I know that
Same.
pain. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But doing that, and then I think this is kind of like bigger picture, but I think just handling everything with class, at times, especially in this business, it can be tempting to say, well, maybe I'm gonna, wear this or post that, or I'm gonna go do this. Like, you don't have to do all that. Just be classy, be professional. If you want to be fabulous in whatever way it is that works for you, that's great. I'm all for that. But don't ever diminish your values because you think it'll help you gain something in a male dominated business. It's just not worth it. And I
Love that.
promise you, if you stay true to who you are, it will work out. It may be a little bit of a longer road and may take some patience, but all my examples in a large sample size of many people in this business, the class wins out 100% of the time.
I absolutely love that. I'm like, take note, take note. And then I always end each episode with a little motherhood football rapid fire question. So you can give me just off the top of your head.
Okay.
Vintage jerseys or modern?
Ooh, vintage.
Morning routine or evening routine?
Morning.
Who is the GOAT? Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes?
I'm going to say Brady, but that's a tough one.
It's tough.
Pat's gaining on him.
Yeah, I'm like, it's hard to say because he's still in it. So,
Right.
to be determined. Baby music playlist or adult songs?
Ooh, adult songs.
College football or the NFL?
Oh, I'm going to say the NFL, but that's like my heart in two pieces because I love both. I'll say the NFL.
Teething stage or toddler tantrums?
Oh, goodness. I'm going to actually say toddler tantrums, which is crazy, but teething is no joke.
No, and it's like they're in pain and I'm like, I don't know what
No,
to do.
you
Take this
feel
frozen
bad.
banana. Like what? I don't know. Like
I know. Nothing
interviewing
works.
exactly. Interviewing players or coaches?
Hmm. I actually like coaches better, I think.
Oh.
I love both. I mean, it's so great, but sometimes coaches will like give you a little more. Some
Oh.
players are guarded, which I get. I'm always like, I know you can't answer what I'm asking you. I'm sorry, I have to ask it.
Yeah, it's like, Isaac, how do you feel about your head NFL coach getting fired and a new person? And he's like, I'm excited.
Right. Like,
But
what do
not
you say? Like, they
like
can't say
it's
what
a
they
change.
actually think.
It's no, it's not. You can't even say you're excited. You just have to say, "Oh, it's a change up. Excited to see where the team goes." Like
You say nothing. And they're
exactly.
good at that. That's the thing, especially NFL players. They're like very well rehearsed at that.
Exactly.
I don't blame
I'm
them.
just not trying to lose my job. I'm like, yeah, I
I
get
love
that.
it.
Matching outfits for siblings or individual style,
I think individual style.
and then NFL Combine versus Pro Bowl versus draft.
Ooh. I'm gonna say the draft. I love it.
Same. No, I love that. And where can the people find you on socials, on TV? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so TV every day at 4 p.m. on ESPN and other places, I guess, but that's the main one. And then I think I'm at Laura Rutledge on X. And I think Instagram is at Laura M Rutledge because my maiden name was McKeeman. I don't know, I put the M in there. But yeah, that's where I have TikTok too. I need to do more on TikTok, but you can find some funny stuff on there because I don't know why, but I feel like I think TikTok nobody's looking at, so I just go crazy over there and
That's no, I have that same problem, except I see 3 million followers. I'm like, that's fake.
I know
I
you
mean,
have
that's
so many.
like that's
I love your
no.
TikToks. No, I'm more of
That's
a
so funny.
like I need to post more on TikTok again. I like lose my streak and then I stop doing it, but I'm gonna
Wait,
do more. So,
I need to challenge you. I want to see like a come travel with me for the NFL draft.
ooh,
Just
okay,
record it and do a voiceover after.
I love it. I'm doing that for you.
Oh, wait. Okay, I'm
I'm
so
gonna at
excited.
you.
Okay, perfect. No, yeah, tag me in it. Perfect. Well, thank you
I
so much
love
for
it.
coming on. This was so
Thank
fun
you.
for me to listen to and to talk with you more. So I'm so excited. And
Thank you.
to the listeners, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to tune in next Sunday.